storage in the item.
Thank you. Got it.
Got it.
Yep.
Here you go, Deborah.
Yes.
It's blue. It's blue ink. If that's all right, yeah.
Item 4.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. This meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the Laverne Board of Zoning Appeals, March 26, 2019. Regular meeting at 5:30 p.m. I called the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting that we had. Has all the board members had a chance to go over those minutes?
Chairman, I make a motion to accept as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. The minutes are approved as presented. Okay, tonight we have 2 items of old business and 3 items of new business. We'll take the old business first. The first item on the agenda is a request for sign variance. Property located at 8560 Centerpoint Way, parcel owned by Centerpoint Holdings Phase 3, Limited Liability Corporation. I believe this is the one that we discussed last month, is that right? And we're bringing it forward because there was a tie vote on it last month. And so let's go through it again for the purpose of Ms. Hewton, and since you weren't here to get all the ands and nips about it. Okay, may we have the report, Mr. Logan?
Thank you, sir. This application is for an additional sign on an industrial building located at 8560 Centerpoint Way. It is zoned I-2, heavy industrial. You can see in the image here. These images are probably 2.5 years old, so that's the latest that the city can obtain. But there is a building there today, and that is the building that's requesting extra sign. So approximately where this blue dot, there's a blue dot on the map up there here. So that's the approximate location of the building. By the way, this is Nacarado Volvo, and this is I-24. And one reason that the interstate is important is because this building sits at an angle, and so the sign that they're allowed allows the building to be seen from one direction on I-24, but not both directions. And that was part of the application. You can see everything here around it is also zoned I-2. And this is a depiction that shows the corner of the building where the applicant has requested the new signage to be placed. And these are the details of the sign. So currently, the building would be allowed one wall sign up to 100 square feet, which they have. And the sign code does say if there's multiple road frontages, they can request another sign at the Board of Zoning Appeals. And there are some photos in the packets I recycled those from last month. Some of these were dark, so I wanted you all to have your own paper copy. This is the actual building. And this is the Ajax Turner building, which is in the vicinity of this request tonight. And I believe, let's see, the sign's been up there, the BOZA sign, notification for this meeting for now about 2 months, and staff has not received any phone calls. And that's the end of the report. Thank you.
Okay, is the representative here tonight? Would you take the podium, please? And we'll go through this again. Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Will you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. James Bays, 555 Moberly, Moberly, Bend Road, Corbin, Corbin, Kentucky, 407. I've lived here too long. 40701. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. You heard the report. You have anything to add to it?
No, just, asking, the board to, understand, we spoke last time about the safety issues. I don't know if the one picture shows, but, right now we are having trouble with trucks coming in, and once they come down this lane here and turn right, it goes to I Enjoy Home, and it's really hard for them to back out of there. So they're backing a 53-foot trailer out of there, with all the cars parked in the parking lot. So, number one, safety, but also number two, we want visibility from I-24. Our market is a name brand, and so, we chose the area for, the traffic that's up and down I-24 just to, get our name out there. Similar to Ajax Turner, they're in a similar location to where you can see it from both directions.
Okay. Board members have any questions?
Let me run through this again. You keep referring to Ajax Turner. By driving down the road both directions, they are adjacent to the interstate. If you're driving from Nashville to Murfreesboro, you cannot see your building.
Okay.
That's what I see. Now, if you're coming from Murfreesboro towards Nashville, on the one side, I agree you can see your building, and that would make sense to put it there. As far as your response of saying that the tractor trailers can't see it, are you referring to coming in from the way of that picture coming towards this direction, or coming parallel with Interstate 24? Which new pool?
There's a couple of different things going on. No GPS shows us on a map. So number one, the trucks can't find us. So if there was visibility from 24, they would have an idea where we was located. But also, they don't understand exactly where we're at in the building. So I do understand your point. If we have one just on this side right here, they would be able to see it. But the one from the front, again, the visibility coming from Nashville to Murfreesboro would be a little bit, obstructed, but you could still be able to see it.
I disagree with that. I mean, I've driven it several times. If you come from Nashville towards Murfreesboro, if you had your sign, you would not see that sign.
Okay.
If you would, you'd be looking backwards and not looking at traffic.
Okay.
While you were driving. That's my opinion. Again, GPS will come on in time. I agree today that it doesn't. I did look at it and check it. New Pool Road does show, but as the administrators of the GPSs, that will come online in time. It's not there today, I agree, but I'm still going with my decision of last month, was that putting it on the one side and one face is still good. As far as the requirement of having it, because on two sides of the road, they are both interior roads and there's not an interstate road. So I'm still sticking with putting on one face is still sufficient for what they're looking to do, and it covers the safety aspect.
I understand. As far as the Ajax Turner property, was there a reason, I guess, for their double signs?
They are adjacent. I mean, you can see both directions. If you come from Nashville to Murfreesboro, you can see it.
Okay.
Without turning around, looking backwards, not looking at what you're doing. So they are adjacent to the 24s. That's why that was okay as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Yours is further within the building area itself, and I just don't see that you could see it. If you are looking at it coming from Nashville to Murfreesboro, you are not looking at your driving. You're trying to look at your building.
Okay. I understand.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, can you point out, I missed last month's meeting, but I did watch it on TV, and I couldn't see all the different things that y'all were able to look at from the TV recording. But can you point out to me exactly where you're wanting this extra sign?
Yeah, if we could go back, I actually have a slide that shows. So this is, the one on the left is the front of the building where the door comes in, and then the one on the right is actually the other corner. So it's just adjacent corners of each other with the way it looks right there. So again, if you could go back to one of the other pictures, yeah, this one. So over in the right corner where the two yellow arrows, it's the two corners right there in the corner. So just icing above each side.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell me which road each of these signs would be facing? Or which parking lot? And is it a parking lot where the big trucks are coming in that you described?
Yeah, so as you can see, there's there's a road that comes up here from the bottom left that comes up.
You want this?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That might help you.
Yeah, so trucks come up here, and right now where there's still a lot of confusion, a lot of them will come around this way, and then they end up over in this parking lot. And this is more pedestrian parking. All the shipping docks for all these buildings are on the inside here. So, you know, if we are working with property management to have better signage here to where they can come down this way and then come in to the building. This is our docks here. This is I Enjoy Home docks. So yeah, once they get in here, it's not really set up for any type of truck. So, again, it's just, again, number one, safety. Number two, just visibility. Like I said, we're trying to push a brand. I do understand your, you know, concern with people looking back on the interstate and being unsafe on the interstate. I understand that. So, I just know my company has requested that, and, you know, if we get it, fine, and if not, we will,
So a question then, if you had the sign like most businesses do, coming around New Pole Road on the side, you're saying you have an issue with a ground sign saying shipping or receiving to the left, it would eradicate your issue, would it not?
yeah, it would fix that issue.
Yeah, I know.
We're back to just the, you know, the brand.
Yeah, sure,
People
understand.
seeing the sign on the building, so.
What is this company for?
We're an aftermarket company, so Ison is the second biggest or the second largest tier 1 supplier in the automotive in the world, Denso being number 1. I work for the factory side of it for over 20 years in Kentucky. I've been coming to this area for over 20 years with Nissan. So more or less what it is if you own a vehicle, you can either go to the dealership and buy a water pump for it, or you can go to Advance and buy an Ison product, which is more or less the same product. So, of course, we want people to understand that they have choices. You don't have to go spend $400 on a water pump when you can buy the same one at Advance or Napa, Pet Boys for half the price. So, again, it's more of a visibility. You know, we do hit all the different trade shows just to get our name out there.
Good to know. I understand the concept of marketing and,
Right.
all what you're trying to do. And I understand the safety issue with the big trucks too. And I understand the big trucks, even if you did have a sign up there at the corner, you know, they may not be looking for that. They
Right.
may be looking for a sign.
In the industry today, there's just a lot of miscommunication when it comes to trucking and directions and backing into the building. So, but yeah,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Any more questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the extra sign.
Do I have a second? I'll second. We'll take a vote. Mr. Pollack,
No?
Ms. Hewen,
Aye.
and Mr. Coates,
No.
and I say aye. We're right back where we were last month. I'm sorry that the other member is absent. He has shingles.
Okay, well, I understand.
So,
Did we count his vote from last time? What did he vote?
no, he's got to be present. He's got to be present. So, we're tied again.
Okay.
Is that all right with you to do
Absolutely.
it again next month?
Yes, sir.
Then we shall defer to the
All
next
right.
month again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming back.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the second old business item, and let's see what we have here. Request for a variance to place an accessory structure in the rear yard. Property located at 195 Center Street, parcel owned by Christy Garcia. May we have the report, Mr. Logan?
Thank you. This applicant is located on Center Street, and 195 is the address. They are zoned R2 residential single family. This item was here in January for the first time, and the applicant does have an accessory structure that is on the property. I'll move to the photos here. So this is the structure, front of the house, here's the garage. So this is to the left. As you're looking at the house, it's to the left. And here's one more view with the fence between the two houses, and then that's the top of the structure there. And just one more photo here, and there's the sign that's posted. And then moving around the house. And then this is the other side, and several trees in this area, and then the chain link fence that fences the backyard. And going back to the overview map, and I'll read this out of the report. So this request would fall under one of the powers delegated to the Board of Zoning Appeals by Tennessee's enabling laws, and those laws say that where by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property at the time of the enactment of the zoning ordinance, or by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions of such piece of property, the strict application of the zoning regulations would result in peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties to, or exception or undue hardship upon the owner of such property. So where this comes into play is, this is a very irregular shaped lot, very unusual backyard that comes to a sharp point, almost like a piece of pie. So depending on the size of the structure, it would be very difficult to meet the side setback, which in this case is 10 feet from each property line. So this piece of property would qualify as deserving of some type of variance under Tennessee's enabling law. At this point, the variance would be to the setbacks of the rear yard and not necessarily a variance for where the structure is right now. It just happened to be,
Yes.
when the city was made aware of the structure, it just happened to be in this area. So anyway, I think that pretty much completes the report. The sign has been posted since January. There were 5 phone calls early on about the sign, and I think I mentioned this in January, but all the calls that came in, somehow folks thought that this property was being rezoned. So all the calls were about the rezoning. So when I told them what was actually happening, they didn't mind at all. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a representative of the property here? Yes, sir. Would you step forward again, please? Yes. Would you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Christy Garcia, 195 Center Street, Laverne, Tennessee. Been there for 21 years.
Thank you. You have anything to add, please, to the report?
Yes, sir. So my son works for MICO, which is an excavation company, and he does a lot of their trying to find the pins on the yard and everything. And if you don't mind, I do have a map, which I can show you exactly where the yard starts. So if you don't mind, Bo, I'll go ahead and take your pointer.
Oh, yeah.
So my yard actually starts where there's a set of grates that are right here, which is on the map, and it runs all the way down through here. And my next door neighbor put up a fence that is in the right of way, right here, a wooden fence, where you can't see past this. He also put driveway on my property. He also put a carport on my property. He's also put a garage on my property. So we are wanting to live in peace, okay? So we've not said anything. And then in January, we tried to put this right here, the structure right here, just to run electricity, and told the next door neighbor, we'll have it here just for a couple of days. We'll get it moved to where it needs to be in the backyard, or we'll try to fix it where it needs to be in the backyard. He immediately called somebody. So here's what I'm trying to say. The structure is very huge, and it's 14 by 24. Trying to fit it within the zoning, it would go right into both sides. It would give me no way of actually putting it back here. We're willing to put it in the backyard. We could not in February. You guys know how much rain we got. So, we're willing to move it to the backyard. The only way we can see to move it is straight back. But if we move it straight back, then that is going to make it touch that side. And we're willing to move it, but there's just no way. There's no way to fit the structure in the yard, the way the yard is set up. We're kind of sunk.
If I recall correctly, you can refer both to the minutes. It seems to me that we left this in January. You were thinking, you said that you were going to take it to court and have this matter resolved before bringing it back to us.
Yes, sir. So I have gone back and done my complaints on the fence line so I could get this moved, and it has not been moved yet. If that fence line would be moved, then I would have the space I would need to actually butt it up where it needs to be and still squeeze it in, and it would be within guidelines. But I can't because he's refused to move that fence.
Is this something that still needs not to come before the board?
I'm not entirely clear on exactly what the request is. And so it may be something that you all would want to ask the applicant of precisely what variance she is seeking in what part of her yard.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
I know where you've got it right now because you have to have it there until this is resolved. Now, until you can get this other stuff straightened out in court, where exactly are you wanting to put this in your yard?
So with keeping in with where the yard is, it would fit right here. But that means that I would cut off that back portion, and this side would be almost touching that side.
Okay, how far away would you be from the property lines on each side of that pie shape?
So I would be within regulations here because of his fence line is over.
Okay.
I would not be in regulations just for this one small part. The rest of it would be within regulation.
So basically, the back end of your building is going to be encroaching into the setback lines, even if you got the fence straightened out?
Yes, ma'am.
Because of the irregular shape of your lot?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
there, that I remember hearing on the YouTube of this last month, was there a stream or something running in the backyard?
No, there's no stream.
Okay.
There's no stream, but like all the carport, the driveway, the fence that goes all the way out to the street, which is, I can't see out my driveway. The garage, all this is not even permitted and on this side. So, I mean, we're starting with our, since we're doing tit for tat, and so we have to have that. So we're working on that right now, slowly but surely, and that way I can go ahead and take it to my attorney.
I'll say I'm a realtor, and you've got one of the most unusual shaped yards that I've ever
I
seen.
do,
And
I
it
do.
fits the criteria.
This was a
according to what I've
lovely
read.
Jerry Butler home. So I was hoping that Jerry Butler would put it this way, but he put it this way.
It would still be pretty irregular, even if he'd turned the house, but I've never seen one come before the board that was so irregular shaped like this, that actually fits the criteria for what you're asking, so.
It's just,
But-
so, I mean, we don't really want to keep it right here. We can move it. We're not saying we want to keep it here. We can move it back in the backyard. We're just asking for some lenience for this portion so
Okay.
we can fit it back.
To clear something up, even if you get this straightened out with the property lines in court,
Mm-hmm.
you're still gonna need this exception or variance, aren't
Yes,
you?
ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that's what I need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would just recommend that any motion that's made is clear as to exactly what part of the property the variance is being granted for. And keep in mind, anything that's involved in a civil dispute with this applicant and their neighbor has nothing to do with you. But it seems to me, I'm not going to put words in the applicant's mouth, but if the setback is simply for the back portion of the property that's not even involved in the dispute, then I think you can go ahead and make a decision with respect to that particular aspect.
Thank you.
I just think that we need to be definitive. We've got to work off dimensions, because if we did give you an approval, if we did, and it's left open, it could be twisted both directions. So I think we need to get some, you know, if you would, let's get some definitive numbers of feet from the rear property line, which we're requesting the variance.
Okay.
So then that way, if your neighbour starts other legal proceedings, you can say, hey, we were entitled by the BOZA, if it's approved, for certain footage, and we put it where required is. That's what I think we need to look at. Otherwise, we get pulled into the same legal situation they're into.
Understood. Bo, can you go to the picture where there's flags sitting out there in my yard, which looks kind of funny? So if you see all these little itty flags, we have tried to fit that shape in that yard 5 different ways of Sunday. That's the reason for those flags. So we've tried to figure out a way to actually go within guidelines, and there's just no way. Not with that fence being.
On the size of the building, what size is that building? The
It's a
dimensions?
14 by 24.
14 by 24, okay. So have you actually measured, like, from that back corner of that pie-shaped back lot to how many feet up it is to the back
Yes, ma'am.
center
And-
of the building?
Yes, ma'am, and it comes right about the tree line right here.
Which is, what, 10 feet or 8?
It is exactly 10 feet.
10 feet, okay.
Let's go that. So the building size you're going to put in is
14 by 24.
14 by 24.
And the reason for the size is we are meshing 2 families.
That's fine. Okay. And you're saying that just, if you would, Bob, you bring back up the overhead shot if we could. Okay. So you're looking, the rear setback is going to be, you're saying, is 10 feet.
So to go right here.
Is that 10 feet from that corner, that little pie-shaped corner?
So is it from the back or from the side is what my question is really.
So you're saying, is it 10 feet from here?
Yes,
I don't know that.
okay.
I
From,
I can't, you know, there's a possibility, but I think that it would hit the 25 from the back of the house at that point.
I think what we need a specific diagram with
Which way?
the dimensions on the diagram, so we have something in front of us that will become part of the record.
Oh, understood.
And
even a photo with the flags where they are, if we could get a photo of that where you draw out.
Well, we do need dimensions. We do need dimensions to make sure we're carrying it correctly, because then if it gets approved, you have that piece of paper in hand for your side.
Okay.
When something comes up, we're just dealing with flags, it's not a good.
Understood.
So if you could, obviously you got your son, I think you mentioned, that does some engineering. If we can get something drawn up and laid on a piece of paper and presented, I think we can work forward with it, but obviously we can't do it tonight.
Yeah, I
We-
can do a video of it. That'll be no
If you
problem.
can do that, and you understand what we're doing, the reason
Yes,
for
sir.
that? Okay.
Yes, sir. Understood.
I would measure from where that little pie-shaped corner is to where it meets the first part of the building that's going to be back there, and from each of those side property lines
Okay.
to where the building will meet.
In this case, it'd be better to have too many dimensions written on it than not enough.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Not a problem. I can do that.
With your concurrence, then we'll defer this till next month.
Not a problem, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you have any questions at all during the interim period, just give Mr. Logan a call.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move into new business now, item number 3. In this case, the applicant is requesting approval of a variance to the side setbacks of their property to allow more space for a new single-family dwelling to be built. The lot is very narrow, so the new house could only be 40 feet wide with current setbacks. And the property is located on Lytle Street, and I've been back there, and there are no street addresses for that particular property. Mr. Logan, may we have the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is asking for some relief on the side setbacks of this property. It is a very narrow property and zoned R1. The R1 setbacks are 15 feet on each side, and The lot, I believe, is 70 feet wide. I need to confirm that with the applicant, but doing the math, that would leave about 40 feet for the house. But then, depending on placement of the driveway and other factors, it may not even be 40 feet. This is in the older part of Laverne. It's several properties in this area that date back many years. Currently, this property is vacant, except for a very old structure. I think one of them is here, and it's very dilapidated and somewhat, I guess, falling down. It appears from this image that there may be a structure in the back, but if you're here on Lytle, you cannot see this far back. This is approximately 400 feet deep. So extremely long lot, but very narrow. And just recapping, the law in Tennessee says where by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape, that the strict application of the zoning ordinance would result in undue or exceptional hardships upon the property owner. So in this case, the narrowness is certainly a hindrance to development, and so it would be worthy of looking at a variance for this property. Again, I just want to make sure that road frontage is 70 feet. I met with the applicant and we discussed that. You see the zoning there. All the orange is R1, so all R1 around this property. And there's a photo with the sign that's posted. And this is a gate here that the picture was taken over. You can see the lot's empty, except again from the aerial photo, it appears that there's a structure back here from some time ago. And that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Okay, thank you.
Would you like me to?
Would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Margaret Gilbert. My address is 705 Brook Valley Drive, Laverne, Tennessee, 37086.
Thank you. You heard the report. Anything you would like to add?
Well, I wrote you a letter so that I would not forget to say what I needed to say. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just read that. It's with humility and respect for your responsibility to this community that I make the following request. And I added 2 requests to the letter so that I could hopefully get one of them. One is a variance of the zoning laws that would change the side easement requirements, which is what has been stated. The other one is, if you couldn't consider that, a variance of the 50 feet street frontage requirement so that I could build 2 smaller homes on the property. And the land in question is located on Lytle Street in Laverne, Tennessee, no address, as it is an empty lot. It's 75 feet by 448 feet. There is currently an unusable barn, which is the structure that he was speaking of, located on the lot, which we plan to tear down, of course. Our intent is to either build 2 1,500 to 1,600 square foot dwellings or 1 3,500 square foot dwelling so that my daughter and I can live together or in close proximity. The reason is that we have an 18-year-old my grandson, who has mental health issues. His mother, my daughter, works during the day in Nashville and goes to school at Vanderbilt 2 nights a week. So by living either together or in close proximity, my husband and I will be able to help care for our grandson, and my daughter, in turn, will be readily available to help us as we continue to age. Our first preference is to build the one family, be 3,500 square foot, or we would do 2 smaller homes, just so we could be together, if we could. And then, as stated earlier, we need to live in close proximity to each other to help care for my grandson. And because my husband and I are aging, and I am a cancer survivor, we could possibly, and I may possibly need additional care in the future, we would be there with my daughter. I'm a graduate of Smyrna High School, and after serving in the United States Air Force for 30 years and having to be away from my family so often, it will give me great pleasure to be able to return to my home for the remainder of my years. The other reason that we want this particular piece of land is because it originally belonged to my mother and father, and I would find great joy in returning to the place where I shared so many good memories during my childhood. And I thank you for your favorable consideration.
First of all, thank you for your service.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure, sir.
Do any board members have any questions?
I have a quick question for Bo. Does this lot size, does it meet the minimum requirements if there were 2 dwellings on it? If there were setback variances,
Just on there, Bo, obviously you can't build 2 buildings on 1 lot.
even in R1?
Well,
Because I've seen us do that. I've seen this board approve this before.
The board approved it when the house was existing.
I remember the case and that both buildings were already there.
And we let them stay there, right?
I believe we did, but
Well, I
but the thing is, when we look at a particular case, we look at the merits of that particular case and we don't judge it by another case.
What would the lot sizes be if there were 2 houses on there? What would that break the lot sizes down to?
well, the issue's not the lot size because I think it's 448.
Yes, sir.
So there's plenty of real estate. The problem is the zoning ordinance requires 50 feet of road frontage on a public street. And the
each
lot now
property.
is only 75 feet. So, and we discussed that at
Right.
length a few weeks ago. I don't know that there's any way to alter that 50 feet requirement in the zoning ordinance.
Is there another street access to the rear of the property?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think so.
Has part of this property
This is
been
the end of it.
acquisitioned by the city for use?
Ma'am?
Has part of this property been acquisitioned by the city for public use?
That I do not.
That would shorten
know.
on, maybe I'm reading the wrong thing. It says due to acquisition of a portion of one's property for public purpose such as
Oh.
for widening the public.
That's an example of a
Okay.
typical, I'm not aware the city has ever taken it.
Okay.
And if you look at the examples of the homes that we have been looking at, even as I understand it, the the easement from the front, from the street to the house has to be at least 50 feet, which we, of course, in depth-wise, we have plenty of room to do that and even have a 70-foot deep home in both cases and still meet that 50-foot requirement for the easement on the front end and the 25-foot requirement for easement on the back, and still have plenty of, it will be with us being close together because we already live in a subdivision where the houses are.
But your second concept would be to have 1 home on the property.
Right, to
I
have
mean,
one large home.
So that's more better suited to what we're looking for as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned.
Okay,
As far as the setbacks, it would be more beneficial, I believe, if you met 1 setback on one side and encroached on the other.
oh, okay.
And that's be my opinion. And maybe put the driveway on down that side.
On that side that where the
Yeah, and
setback is.
that's what I think we more prefer, but find you acceptable to that. That's just coming from myself.
Because
Does it make a difference how the house faces?
Doesn't to us, but, I just assumed that it had to face the street. That was my assumption. I mean, he could face the other, but on the side right now, there are just 2 vacant lots. And so whoever owns those properties, if they decided to build something, we would be facing them. I don't have a problem with it, but they may.
Do you know if the other the property either side, are they in the same predicament? In other words,
One of them may be, but the other one, I don't think, the one to the right that's owned by the Ruckers is only 28 feet wide and 210 feet deep. So they may, but there's a house there. So the young lady, I tried to purchase that, and she said that her plan was she wanted to move back to her family's home place too. And since there's a house already there, she may be just gonna add on to it or remodel it or whatever, but she didn't give me any in-depth information. And then on the other side, it's just a vacant lot.
Well, my comment, Mr. Chairman, is a bit like similar to the previous one is, you know, I understand the dimensions, but I think this board would be better acted if we had something laid out on a bit of paper with some dimensions and see, you know, so that you know what you're trying to, the lot you can build in. We could take a look at it and then we can either approve or deny from there. That's my thought. That way we know where we stand, and therefore when she does build, the city codes know what to work from. At the moment, we're just working a house into a lot and we don't know exactly where.
Okay,
Can you
so-
provide something like that? What would be the footprint of the house?
Of the house, I just have to go, yes, sir, and get architect to draw up the plans for the picture of the house that we liked, and get someone to draw it up, yes.
Does that make sense though? That way, you know, we know what we're doing as a city and you know what you can, where you can build and what you
Okay.
can't build.
Okay, and so in the plans, do I need to just make sure that he puts the driveway to the one side of the,
Well, you design it as you want to design it, but so it suits you, but I just think as a recommendation is to make one side that fits the requirement and the other side doesn't, so you know, you got one face is correct. Obviously, you got the depth, so obviously the longer house, the better.
okay, so I just need to get, as I understand it, I need to get an architect to draw up some plans of the house that we would put in the, on the
It's not so much plans, it's just the plan view of where you want to build the house, so we have a building envelope.
okay, okay.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
Instead of, I think we're causing a lot of extra work on everybody. If it's a 15-foot side setback, my advice would be to come up with a number and let the applicant go to that number, because this is going to add a lot of time, a lot of strain on the applicant as well as staff and you all to carry this out another month. I just don't think we're getting much out of it. So if it's a 15-foot side back, what if we just say, let the applicant drop to 5 feet on each side or 10 feet on each side, and then she's got the space?
What happens if they find something in the area where they're going to build the house? They're going to come back again if they've got an issue with drainage and or potential sinkhole. I mean, let's
I see
work
where
it.
you're going, but they're not going to,
No.
she's not going to know that in a month anyway.
I understand. All right, well, that's my thought. I mean, I understand what Bo's saying, but I just want to make it, you know, that the intent is to put the requirement back on the owner to produce, you know, some plans or a plat that we can work with.
I kind of agree that we need to just give her some boundaries to work within for a building envelope. And will she need to anyway, once she gets that building envelope or the plans, will she need to come before the planning commission or anything? No? Okay. Well, I think if she runs into any problems, if she's trying to fit it in a particular building envelope, she'll have to come back before one of the boards anyway to get more exceptions or variances. I think just giving her some guidelines of the building envelope should be sufficient for right now.
Is there water and sewer on the property?
When we lived there before, there was water, but we didn't have sewer in those days, so.
We've got lots
I'm
of
not
things
sure.
going on here. If there's no
Yeah.
sewer, you've got lots of, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand we're trying to move you forward, I understand that. But I think this board needs to keep adhering to the rules and regulations and lets the
There's
applicant
other
present to us what we're looking for.
properties. I mean, there's a house across the street that has sewer, so I'm assuming it's on that street. And when I had the appraisal done, she said that that was accessible, that water and sewer were accessible. And I've got a copy of the appraisal with me, if that were.
I'm inclined to go with Mr. Coates' idea. He has long expertise on both the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission. So I would go with his suggestion.
Can I ask a question? If we gave her a building envelope to work within for that house, and they go to start trying to get everything ready and find that they don't have room for a septic system or can't hook on to sewer or something, she's gonna have to come back anyway, and we would have to change that for her. I mean, if we give her that envelope now, she can have something to start working with to find out if she's gonna need any further exceptions or variances to the setbacks. If she gets in there, if we give her so many feet on each side, and she gets in there and they find out, oh, well, we can't do that, we're gonna have to move it forward some or backward some, she's gonna have to come back before the board anyway, right?
Well, she's going to have to need, well, she knows what she wants in the house, and she's going to have to know what size house for the footprint. And once she has the footprint, then that can be worked into the property.
And if we give her that building envelope, she can know what size and what shape house she can fit into that footprint within those setbacks. Kind of like a puzzle piece.
You agree with that?
To work with. I mean, when we do new construction, that's what we have to work with, is a building envelope to see if we can fit a particular house in there within those setbacks that they've been given. If they can't, then we have to go back before, like Davidson County or wherever, we have to go back before them and say, hey, look, you know, we've got this building envelope for this house, but because of this or that, it's not gonna work, and we need to change this. We need to ask for a change.
I understand what you're saying, but if you give dimensions now, it then entraps the homeowner of what they can work with. If they design the house that they want and their building area, they get what they want. It's a big investment, and it's a chicken egg situation, but I refer to the ownership to see what they want as far as the size of the house and the layout of the house versus given to them now. I mean, there's just too many issues that could come up as far as I'm concerned for the city.
See, what he is saying is that you come up with the dimensions of the footprint of the house, and the priority is what you want. And then see if we can go with what you want.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm willing to go with what I can have because the sentimental value of the lot. I understand it is a big investment, but I've planned for it and tried to, be ready for this situation. But I would like to, if I can't have 3,500 square feet, I might have to have 2 stories to have that. But if I can only have 3,000 square feet, then I am willing to accept that. I have no issue with, because what I want is just room enough for my daughter and I to live together under the same roof, basically. And the size of the house is not as important as the position, the land. It really, honestly, it really isn't.
And you might want a one level too because of the situation.
Right.
And which takes up more of a.
Right, and on our side, the side that my husband and I would live on, we are gonna have one level, but my daughter is gonna have an upstairs.
There's a million different designs for a
Right.
plan to fit into a particular
Yes,
building envelope.
yes.
There's a million different ones that can work.
And I just, wanted to get started.
I
of course.
understand.
But if that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do. So you're saying that I need to get a drawing of dimensions of what kind of house I want and then bring it back to the board.
That's what I'd like to see, yes.
Okay, so how do I know how wide my house can be without the variance?
That was my point.
I know that it can be as long as out at 448 feet, but I don't know how wide, and that it was the issue, how wide it can be. That's why we chose in our design this particular house, because it's only 55 feet wide, so if we could get 10 feet off each side or 5 feet off each side, we'd have enough space and this house would fit. I guess I didn't think to print out because it had the blueprints of the house with the.
Does it have the measurements on the house by any chance?
It has,
55 feet.
yeah. On the single-family house, it has 70 feet deep, 55 inches wide. And so if we had a 10-foot easement on each side, it would give us, instead of the 15 feet, it would give us the room that we would need to build this house.
You think with the 10-foot easement on each side, that would be sufficient to build the type of floor plan that would work for you and your family?
Yes, ma'am, because we have 75 feet, and if you take 20 off, that would leave us 55 feet, which this particular plan that we have chosen is 55 feet wide.
And how deep?
and it's 70 feet deep, so we still got plenty. I would like to have as I was stated in my request, 7.5 feet on each side, but if that's not possible, that way, that even gives me 5 more feet to play with if something comes up and I have to have more room on the side. So 7.5 feet on each side would be that would leave me with 60 feet of space. And if I had a 55-foot wide house, then that leaves me with 5 feet to play with. That's the only thing. As I go out to get plans, I know it's got to stay within 55 feet, so I just need to find someone to draw me some, not necessarily plan, but a plot, like you said, as to how wide the house is going to be in this.
Beautiful house.
It is a
So
beautiful
on the
house.
other side, her side, there's an upstairs, but on our side, it is not, it's one level. And her upstairs is over her garage.
So this plan here,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, this one would leave you with a 10-foot easement.
Mm-hmm.
It would leave you with 50 feet
Side.
for the front yard.
Right,
And it would leave you with 328 left for the backyard.
right,
Okay, and then it would leave you, what, 10 feet
yes,
on each side?
yes, ma'am, exactly.
That sounds pretty reasonable to me.
What about the driveway to the garage?
The garage is going to be on the side, it will be on one side of it, so as I understand it, you can put the driveway in the easement part, can't you? I mean, I'm not, you tell me, I can't.
It depends on how you turn the house.
So if I turn the house the other way, just to where it's facing the 2 vacant properties, I got no problem, right? I can do that? Are you saying I can do that? Hey, and I can do that, because there's nothing there but woods at the moment. And that way I have 448 feet to live with. I mean, to deal with. Then there's no,
I have to defer to you because I don't know.
I just feel like whatever she's doing, she's going through the right steps. And I feel like that if she runs into a problem of meeting whatever building envelope we give her to put that house in, this one larger home in, I feel like that if she runs into an issue where she's not going to be able to meet the setback lines or the envelope that we give her, I believe she'll come back. If she has extra, she's got extra. If she just fits it right in perfectly, then no problem. But, you know, if she needs to change something or alter something, I feel like she's planning to do that.
And
Instead of
if
having
we
to
were to
pay.
go with this and she can't meet that and she comes back asking for more, then what?
Maybe she'll come back and she wants to turn the house a different direction or move it back a little bit. I'm
Mr.
not sure
Chairman,
what she
that
could
happens.
possibly,
That can happen, and that would be a separate matter for you to take up, and you'd have to have her burden of proof of that she's entitled to a different variance than what she was granted.
but for now, I feel like that we can give her the exceptions that she's asking for. And if she can't meet that, she will have an opportunity to bring a new item back to us to consider. With as many floor plans and designs and dimensions of so many different houses out there building from scratch, I mean, she's got the whole world at her fingertips where she can modify
You want to
things.
put that into a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it for a one home with the setback lines of 10 feet
Ms. Hewen, with a variance
with the variance.
of 10 feet on either side of
Either
the
side.
property lines as a setback?
Well, with the variance of 10 feet on either side of the property line,
Is there a second?
Motion?
I make a motion to approve that.
Do I hear a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Let's see, Mr. Pollock,
Yes?
Ms. Hewen,
Yes.
Mr.
No.
No? I believe I have to vote yes on that. And the motion passes.
thank you so much for your time, I
Congratulations.
appreciate it.
Thank you for your patience.
And then, do I need to take-
Okay. Okay, item number 4. Request for special exception to allow automobile rental and delivery and vehicle equipment sharing and to allow RV boat storage property located on New Paul Road, heavily industrial zoning district, parcel owned by Patriot LLC. May we have the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over the last probably about 4 months, I've been talking with U-Haul, and they have been wanting a location in Laverne for some time, a location that would serve several purposes. One could possibly be self-storage. The other would be a U-Haul that rents equipment and has truck rental and trailer rental, et cetera. So in talking with them, they had looked at some C2 zone sites over the last, well, they probably started looking a year and a half ago, and they had some C2 sites, some on Murfreesboro Road, but all of those have either fallen away or been developed or whatnot, something's happened. So the location that they are looking at building this facility is on New Paul Road, and you can see here the property today. There's a parking lot here that you'll see in just a minute. This is Nacarado, Volvo, and then this is the apartment complex to the southeast. And so this property is zoned I-2, heavy industrial, and of course I-2 zoning, it does allow certain uses that are allowed in C2, but only by special exception, which is why they're at the board tonight. And you can see here the dark blue is I-2, and then the apartment complex is this triangle zoned R3. This is a look, I mentioned this parking lot a minute ago. So this is out there today. It's fenced, mainly, I guess, used for overflow truck storage. I'm not exactly sure all the uses of that lot, but this is another shot, and there's the sign there. A little ambitious, but it's there. And then here's the third photo. Just looking, this is looking southeast. This is New Paul, and there's the lot again. And then there's a grassy area between Nacarado and there, which would also be part of the site if it develops. And so specifically, they're asking for a special exception to allow rental and RV and boat storage. If the self-storage use gets approved, they would like to have RV and boat storage, and they'd also like permission to rent U-Haul trucks and trailers at this site. So those are the specific requests tonight. And there is a plan in your packets. They submitted quite a large plan. I think it's full size, that shows what they're hoping to do. Has been assigned, posted there, and no phone calls have been received, so thank you.
Thank you. Have a representative here? Waiting patiently.
Yes,
Would you
sir.
raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
State your name and address, please, for
My
the
name is
record.
Jeff Porter. Address is 1398 Station Drive, Goodlettsville, Tennessee, 37072.
Would you have anything to add to the report?
Well, it's my understanding, on the request, it says boat and RV storage. Under the current zoning, storage is already allowed by right, so is boat and RV storage, is my understanding. I could be wrong. The special exception I was looking for was for the truck and trailer share, or rentals, if you would rather call it that. You said the sign was kind of ambitious, I understand that. We had to make a decision this month whether we wanted to either purchase the property or forego the property. Knowing that Laverne is a business-friendly city, like your website says, we made the decision we had to purchase the property. Because we want to be a neighborhood part of Laverne. We want to help the community. So we made that decision.
Okay. Board members have any questions? No questions?
Bo, looking at I-2, your report says that a special exception is allowed. Which one are you referring to? Because I'm not seeing the item number on page 105 or 106, which one you're referring to.
Are you referring to the listing in C2?
Yeah.
Yeah, the listings in C2 are not very good, which is why we're trying to get the zoning ordinance rewritten. The closest thing that I think Mr. Porter could come up with is automobile rental and delivery, because it doesn't mention truck rental, but I'm using my common sense to say that the truck rental falls under automobile rental and delivery. So you're asking for that. And then the RV boat storage, I know self-storage is allowed outright in I-2, so that's not a problem.
Right.
I don't know if boats and RVs are just allowed outright to be stored. I would think that they come under vehicle storage. So,
And I was reading it over this morning again, just so I have some familiarity with it when I was discussing with you guys. Like it says, vehicle storage would be like if it's a junkyard or a repair facility waiting to be maintained. What we're proposing is covered RV storage with electricity, so people who have, their campers can keep their battery charged on a trickle charger, stuff like that. That's what we're proposing. And I know there's a new facility that was just built on New Paul Road. It was A+, now it's US storage. They have RV parking also.
Well, can we go back to a bigger view of the area? On the streets, okay. Will the storage of the boats and RVs, will it be towards the back or the front?
It would be in the back.
Okay.
It'd be a fenced-in portion of the property, is what we're proposing.
Like locked gates for access?
Electronically controlled access.
So the four-story building's in the front.
Yes, sir. And we have our shunting lanes for the equipment on the rear side of the building. We have a small display up front. We bought it from Mr. Nacarado, and his concern was that we're going to have all of our equipment up front, which is, we want our building to be foremost up front, the most visible aspect of our property. We're going to build a really nice facility.
Is there a rendering of the building you're proposing?
We don't have one as of yet.
Do you have any samples of other buildings that's similar to what you're wanting to do?
I probably have some on my phone I could show you,
Oh, okay.
but I don't have any right now. My thought would be we would build something similar to what is beside us already, which is the Nacarado and the Olympia RV park, RV dealership.
Mr. Chairman, with the way it's presented, it's obviously, for me, it's sort of two items, storage and then obviously the boats and trucks, and I just don't see how it fits in. I mean, I'm just struggling with that to see where we even allowed to do this special exception. I don't see it.
Well, as Bull was saying, that the ordinance needs to be rewritten to more in detail. I looked at the property out there, and personally, I thought it was an ideal piece of property for that type of a business.
And right now, the ordinance is as it is. It hasn't been modified or changed, so we need to go with the way it is now, correct?
Sure.
Another question for me?
Yes.
Well, zoning ordinances are always a living document, right? They're always going to be amended. You're not going to have every use in there imaginable. And I think that the idea of a zoning ordinance is to harmonize the area and to fit in uses that would conform to the overall surrounding parcels. And if this isn't explicitly listed, that's one consideration. I'm wondering here if under the authorization of special exceptions, which this would be, that would be a consideration of the overall general intent of it. Bo, your city planner, I'm going to rely on him here because I don't make policy and I don't say what's what in here, but it sounds like Bo has come up with a way that this would somewhat fit what he's requesting, and you might want to restate that, Bo, as to what you think this would fall into, both under an I-2 permitted use or special exception.
Okay, let me find the C2.
If you look in I-2,
But they're,
use is not listed otherwise, and that's kind of what we're stating, is it's not listed really definitely in any other location in the zoning ordinance. It says use is not listed otherwise within the Laverne zoning ordinance is allowed as a special exception in an I-2 zone. So this is I-2, and we're talking about that use. So I think specifically is for what he submitted in his use, that's falling in play with exactly what's listed there.
And Nacarado, they're kind of in the same business of what we're doing. They lease and sell their semi-trucks. It's really, to me, it's the same business. We're just on a lot smaller scale for the do-it-yourself mover.
I think it fits into the what's already in the area and other uses that are similar from what you're describing. Is it too early to make a motion?
It's not.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Do I hear a second? I'll second it. We'll take a vote. Mr. Pollack,
Yes.
Ms. Huey,
Yes.
Mr. Coates,
No.
and I'll vote yes.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, item number 4. The applicant would like to operate an auto repair facility at 5264 Murfreesboro Road. The parcel is owned by Mohammed Shams. The proposed business will generally operate during normal business hours. The applicant will need to explain the exact operating hours. According to municipal zoning ordinances codified in Article 5, auto repair is allowed in C2 districts by special exception only. Thus, the applicant requests a special exception to conduct auto repair at this location. The applicant does not have a conceptual plan at this time, and the more formal site plan must proceed to the Laverne Planning Commission following the decision of BOZA on the special exception request. May we have the report, please?
thank you. So this property is at the corner of Glendale Drive and Murfreesboro Road. And it is across from the former TDS building is here, directly across as a landmark, and it's also zone C2, as all the property is along Murfreesboro Road to the left and right. And this photo here, so this is the old TDS building across the Murfreesboro Road, and then this is their property here. They currently are a used car dealership, and they're requesting auto repair through a special exception. So this is the building currently and some of the signage. This sign is the next door or adjacent property. This is Tiny Town Child Care. So that's that sign. And then this sign is Ram Auto, which is the name that this location is using. There's another photo. So this is the side of the building where the office is housed. And the Ram Auto sign again, and several of the cars that are parked there. And then this is the rear of the property. And there has been, I guess you'd say, ongoing activity over the last year or two, and I know our codes department has visited the property, and they've taken a lot of photographs as well, and so I have those photographs to hand out to you all, and other than that, I think that's sums up the request. Thank you.
Is there a representative here? Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
State your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Rad Abdul. I'm the owner of the business, Ram Auto Sales. I just want to add a couple of things. This is my second time I moved on this area. So I owned a business on 5252, which is couple building before that building, and that was a couple years ago. I stayed there for almost a year and a half, and that building was never been a car lot before. I was the first one opening as a car lot. Now, when I see my next two building, which is used to be a car lot already, and with all the problems I have on my my building at that time, so I decided to go to 5264, which is the one is already being car lot or something. Now, what I wanted to clear, I'm not asking for a whole repair thing. I'm not gonna do the entire activity of repairing cars from 0 to 100. But having a car lot, I need specific kind of things to do on my cars to, get it to the customer, or, to find out what do I need to move it from my car lot. So that's basically, I'm asking to do some kind of small thing on the back of my car lot, and I don't need to have the whole thing. It's not gonna be any engine activity or any things need to be done. It just need to have my business going, and that's basically what I need.
You're talking about body repair.
Say what?
You're talking about body repair.
Yeah,
Fixing fenders.
Yeah, just fixing some few things, because I need it sometimes to keep going on my car lot.
Okay. Sir, I have some comments to make about your facility.
Yes, sir.
I was out there the other day, and I wanted to explain a couple of things to you.
Yes, sir.
This board is required by the zoning ordinance to review all requests for special exceptions to determine whether the proposed use is potentially noxious, dangerous, or offensive. And I personally visited your site this past Sunday, and I discovered that it does not meet the required criteria, and I wanted to explain to you. One, there's a safety hazard during ingress and egress in case of fire or catastrophe. Two, due to expected body repair noise pollution to adjoining properties, the noise it will be. And three, there is a total lack of compatibility with adjacent property in terms of safety hazards. Let me explain what I'm talking about there. The front area of the facility is, those pictures don't do it. Those are not current pictures. The front area of the facility is packed solid with vehicles. You can't even walk through the front area of that property because there are so many vehicles there, you just can't walk through it. And that would be extremely difficult to do so, especially for emergency personnel. If there ever was a fire or something, they couldn't help you there. The business next door to your facility is a daycare center. The way your vehicles are parked at your facility is a very serious safety issue for anyone visiting the daycare center. It appears that the vehicles at your facility are not, at least parked in part on the daycare property. If they're not parked there, at least they had to be driven on the daycare property to get where they are parked. And that's a very serious safety situation. There is no fence between the daycare center and yours, so anybody, especially the children that's walking around there, could walk where you're driving your vehicles, and that's a serious safety hazard. And also the noise of the body shop. The daycare center is a learning center, and the noise would be, disturb the environment of learning over there. So all those things, to me, does not support a request for a special exception. And everyone here has their own vote, but when it comes to my vote, I will have to vote against it for those reasons. Anybody else have any comments they would like to make?
Do you intend to put out it looks like at the moment you're painting outside vehicles. Is that true? I mean,
No, I always, I do some kind of polish and whatever. I don't do no paint on.
okay. Some of the pictures we reviewed show you do. So you're not doing any painting?
No.
Okay.
The automobile repair, it lists in the definitions of that, you know, including not limited to body frame and fender straightening, repair, welding, painting and collision repair. So I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that there's some issues going on there too. So what chemicals are you using at your business presently? What chemicals are you using?
For what kind of, for chemical for what?
Chemical, I mean, are you changing engine oils? Are you changing transmission oils?
I don't do no change oil, I don't do no transmission oil, I don't do this kind of stuff. This is all related to engine. As I said, I don't do anything related to engine. Now, I do sometimes open a hood, open fender, open headlights, line, underliner, try to do some stuff to keep my cars in a good shape. I don't have a machine to do any kind of like activity on this. I used to have something called like the puller. I can, if something bend or whatever, I pull it, I don't have it anymore. So because I used to have a carport in the back of my shop, I have been told I'm not allowed to have it, or I need to have a special request for it or something. I moved it, I put it down or something. So I'm not, all I'm doing is just to do something on the physical shape of the car. It's not.
What do you mean by doing something on the physical? I mean, obviously you can't change it because the vehicle is the vehicle, so be more descriptive.
When I buy cars, for example, I get a car from auction. They bring it to me with some kind of stuff in it. So a lot of things I can, I put it myself or I clear it myself. If something I cannot do, I don't have a place to tour the entire rebuild. I just send it to somewhere. You know, I just, that what I'm asking is just something I can do, some basic stuff. And you know, I need to keep going, that's all.
Any other comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I'm just put a motion together, Mr. Chairman. Give me a minute, because we want to, if we are moving forward, we just want to make sure we handle this appropriately. So I'll make a motion to deny the special exception to allow automobile repair on property at 5264 Murfreesboro Road due to not fitting in the definitions of automobile repair, 2, the present conditions of the property and the incorrect use of the property, 3, health and safety, 4, concern for the daycare next door, 5, with the materials being used. I'll just start with that.
Do I hear a second?
That's second. Go on.
Okay, we have a second. We'll take a vote on it. Mr. Pollack?
No.
Ms. Hewen?
No?
Mr. Coates?
No.
And I vote no. The request is...
I'm sorry, the motion was to deny it.
Correct.
So if your intent is to deny it,
Yeah.
then it would be a yes vote.
Oh, I vote yes.
Okay, well, to clarify that, we will take another voice vote. Ms. Hewen?
I vote yes to deny it.
Mr. Coates?
Yes to deny.
Yes to deny.
And yes to deny it. It's unanimous denied. Your request is denied. Sorry. That was the last item on the agenda. There being no further business, we stand adjourned.